right, welcome back. It is Legally Blind Journal number 28. Believe it or not, been rolling through these journals for 28 weeks now. I'm surprised it's been that long. But at any rate, so jumping right in, vision is still holding at around 12 to 13 inches right now for how far that you can read. With reasonably larger letters, which is good that it's holding there for right now. We'll say been some struggles, but hey, life is about that. So keep working through all that stuff and keep moving forward. Making some progress in several different areas of life, which is good, and getting some stability in life, which is even better. One of the things that all the counselors say over and over is, you got to make sure you're trying to reduce stress where you can and whatnot. To my knowledge, there's no, study that confirms it, but basically everybody you talk to says higher stress levels, higher blood pressure levels, aren't good for visual acuity issues. So that said, I've been working on that in my life, trying to get there, personal and other places. And the migraines this week have been slightly better, not immensely better yet, but slightly better. So I'm going to keep trying some of these new techniques that the counselors asked me to do, and see if it continues to head back in the right direction. So moving in the right direction is quite frankly all you can ask for a lot of times, and it's enough. So hopefully we keep moving there. So jumping right in this week, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's up on the slide here, and I'll describe that for anybody listening on podcasts as usual. So what did I do? What did I try? Because, this is about trying new ways to do old things. And that's what a lot of this really is, as I'm going through the vision loss process here. So what you see in the top, all the top pictures really is a set of night vision goggles. And I might want to, clarify when I say night vision, they do day and night. So they add an IR deal, I guess, for nighttime stuff. And I'm holding them up here. Basically, they're not too heavy. I mean, they're not super, super light. I'm going to tell you right now. There's a headband you can wear. Takes a little getting used to. You can put them on a helmet, I guess, but that would look interesting, I think. And it might be better. I don't know, but I hadn't tried it. Plus, I don't want to spend the money on a helmet. So basically, what makes these unique and work really well is the front has two circles, basically, as you would expect from binoculars, but these aren't binoculars. It is a manual focus, so you do have to manually focus once you get to your point. But the back, it's a monocular, so it's a single screen. Just like a cell phone screen, essentially. So this one's a 2.7 inch screen. This one I chose because it's really easy to use. Big buttons, literally just a power button. You can zoom in, zoom out, and depending on if you hold or click, it zoom in, zoom out versus turning on the night vision and turning off the night vision and making it stronger and less. There's some menu buttons over the other side, which you never use after you set up. So it makes it really easy. There's big buttons you can feel. There's a post there. That's what you mount on the headband or a helmet. And these were on like a Amazon deal for like $150, which is not zero by any means. I will say though, these and these probably aren't the best. I don't know, which is why I'm not saying, a bunch of names and things, but they really have been a pretty big help. So essentially, there's a couple of issues with this. One is if you're looking You've got like mine. My right eye is way, way worse than my left eye. Neither one of them are great, but my right eye is essentially useless. If you're looking through binoculars, man, it messes with my head really bad. Monoculars, and I guess your brain can kind of figure out what it wants to use and not, which is why I like the fact that it's got a digital screen on there. Number one. Number two, usage wise, for me, if if my spouse is like, hey, there's a deer in the backyard, or a rabbit or whatever, there there's probably a lot better ones. These are not the clearest ones on the planet, I'll say. When you zoom in there, it's a bunch of digital zoom and it gets a little fuzzy when you got that, but it's a lot better than I got without it, that's for sure. So I can grab those. They turn on pretty quick, and then I can actually see what she's talking about, which is pretty cool. You can participate in that. And at a distance, across the backyard or across the field, if you will, the FOV, the field of vision, is not a problem. It doesn't tighten up really, really small. It works really well for seeing animals and things like that. Now, could you walk around with it, to help you walk around with your vision? No. Number one, it would bounce and shake and would be a real problem. Number two, the field of vision gets really tight, really small as you zoom in. So for me, when I'm trying to run the tractor, normally I don't mind if I accidentally bump a pine tree. They don't complain too much. I ripped a plastic box, one of my little toolboxes I made, and ripped it off the tractor the other day because, again, I don't have the peripheral. But that's also why I did plastic and not metal boxes. That way they're, $16, which is not zero, and I'm not happy about having to spend $16 more. But they're not metal, and so they're not hurting the tractor. And it's an early warning system off to my sides when I'm backing up that I'm probably missed something that. And so at any rate, pine tree caught that sucker and basically shredded it. So, shredded's a strong word because I'm going really slow, but I heard it go and crack, but by the time I heard it and got my foot off the gas, that sucker was done. So to that end, on the tractor, if I'm not worried about that, if I'm going slow enough and the little bump's not going to hurt the tractor, then we're good. But if I have to get up near like the building and drop gravel or something, and I try and minimize how often I get close to something fragile, but if I do, then these are really, really, really good in one sense, and it's a challenge in another. And here's what I mean. So basically, in a nutshell, whenever you go into the screen and you zoom it in, what do you get, right? So on the very top right hand corner picture, is it not zoomed in? Looking at an eye chart that I don't know is probably 8 feet away or so, and so the field of vision's not great. It's doable, but the closer you get to an object, the worse it gets. So sitting there, for those of you that can't see the image, it's basically able to show you a standard 8x10 clipboard with just a couple inches off to the left or right without it being zoomed in at all. Now in the bottom right hand corner, that is zoomed in, not even zoomed in all the way by any means, but that's zoomed in where you're trying to see something on the clipboard, and the field of vision gets so tight that it literally is showing you about a 2-inch by 2-inch square. So a 2-inch by 2-inch square is pretty tight. That's really, really, really small amount of space. You're losing a lot around that field of vision. So for me, again, for the tractor where it's right there, it's exactly what I needed. For me, for being able to see wildlife, trees, what rather than just a color and a shape, it's it's really, really nice. I'd love if they were a little clearer, obviously. But I can't spend what I would have to spend to get really nice ones. So these will just do. Um, and at the end of the day, if you were going to try and like use them for anything else, like, for, I shouldn't say it that way, but if you were going to say stand in the kitchen and try and use them to cook, it's not going to work. Because you're going to see one noodle, not the pan of noodles. So it's got its place. And for me, I'm glad that I found them. I'm glad they were on a lightning sale or something. And so for $150, I took a chance, and it worked out well for me. Is it a little frustrating that you gotta do that type of stuff? Yeah, it is. But if you focus on the frustration, you'll never find the joy. And at the end of the day, it's always about finding new ways to do old things. So guess what? Now I need to be able to figure out if I'm going to hit the building or not. Well, now I have to grab the goggles, put them on, flip them up and flip them down as I'm moving. It's okay. New way to do an old thing. If you focus on the frustration, all you'll be is frustrated. If you focus on finding a new way to do an old thing, you'll continue to find joy and produce it. And that's a big key there. And again, the fact that these give me the ability to actually see, albeit they're fuzzy, but to be able to see like animals across the yard and stuff again, that's pretty cool. Do I grab them every time? No. If it's, hey, there's a fat rabbit. Well, I've seen a bunch of rabbits. I'm not sure that I'm grabbing them for a 2-second rabbit look. But, if there's, a herd of deer standing back there eating or something and whatnot, my spouse points that out because, I'm not going to see it. But if she points it out, will I grab them to watch the deer for a while? Absolutely. Absolutely. And if they're a little fuzzy, you know what? Before they weren't even visible at all. So it's all about what you focus on. And then in the bottom right-hand two pictures this week, so I went on a little adventure, and I've always been a woods type person, and so at any rate, I went to the property line and I had some string and some orange tape, and so I was going to just walk the property line, and now keeping in mind that. Before I started losing my vision, when I had full vision, I was a really, really strong navigation. Without a compass, could pretty well keep a good straight beat, even moving around trees and stuff like that. Been hiking in the woods really my whole life. And so, at any rate, this is where overconfidence came in a little bit. I was like, I could probably do that. I mean, trees are blobs, sure. But I didn't realize how much of your distance vision is really coming into play to keep yourself in line. And so with my survey sticks, they go about 100 feet in from the corner, and then they stop. And, at the back end, it'll be about 100 feet up from the corner. Well, the line is 1,000 feet long, which means you got about 800 feet where you're not going to have things to follow. And so in the past, you could walk straight, look back, and catch a glimmer of the bright orange somewhere and know where you're at. Here's the problem. I can't look back and catch a glimmer of the orange sticks anymore. And, it's a heavily wooded area anyway. But so I didn't have a good bearing guide. And so I ended up going about 300 feet in, completely, absolutely no clue if I was on my side of the property line or on the neighbor's side. And so I basically ended up tying off the string to a tree, marking it with a bunch of flags. And I'm going to go back and do another attempt. But, hey, here's the deal. This is all about, can I find a way? Right? There are some things you can't do. You can't drive. You're going to hurt somebody. But can I find a way? Is there a way to do an old thing in a new way? Right? So, yeah, I think so. So after talking to a buddy, it's like, hey, dum-dum, why aren't you using a compass? You don't have your eyes for seeing beyond literally a couple of feet. But you got a compass. You can hold that up to your nose, can't you? And he's right. I mean, at the end of the day, he's absolutely right. My eyes can't tell me if I'm moving in a straight line, but a compass can. And this property line, thank the Lord, is a straight line. So I'm going to try this again. I'm going to try it with a compass and see if I can get from the one corner back to the other corner, and find a new way to do an old thing. And I've always just referenced a compass when I've been out hiking and stuff in years past, but never used one actively, like consistently, just to walk a couple of 100 feet. Like I've always been able to just look, and keep a good guidance on it. But now I can't, and so that's okay. I got to accept that and find a new way to do an old thing. We'll see how that goes. I will say trying to walk through the woods with my vision was more than a challenge. I definitely was tripping and falling and, all those things because you can't exactly use a cane going through this heavy brush stuff. So I had chainsaw pants on. If you don't know what those are, they're special chaps, essentially. You wrap them around your pants, you clip them. But they're designed if you accidentally make a mistake, that chainsaw doesn't dig into your leg. It just binds up on the pants, and you don't end up cutting your leg off or dying. So they're great for brush pants too. So you go walking through and briars and things like that, they're not tearing you up because, quite frankly, they're a lot less aggressive than a chainsaw would be. So I had chainsaw pants on and, thick jacket and all that, and gloves, which is a great call because, man, I walked into so many briar patches that I just didn't see. I tripped over so many things and was catching myself on sharper trees and, objects and things. And I was trying to go slow, but I'll say I probably need to go slower, because I just couldn't make out what was a stick and what was, a flat leaf bed, type of thing. So at the end of the day, if you're wondering, well, what about snakes? Well, sticks don't move, snakes do. And hopefully I hear them or they move, and there you go. So the next time I'm going to try this with the compass, see if we can find a new way to do an old thing and get 1,000 feet from one corner to the next corner without getting off the line too much. And if that works, then I'll string it, flag it, so that we know exactly where that is. Since I can't rely on my eyes the way I used to, we'll find a new way. So big orange string with big freaking flags hanging off of it, that should do. And then I'll come behind there and put in permanent post with big yellow signs, big orange signs, big high contrast signs that I can follow and know where I'm at in the future. And that way too, as my vision declines, I'll have an easier time of it later. So at any rate, thinking about that stuff doesn't exactly make you do the jig, but at the end of the day, thinking about, all right, well, fine, that's a reality. How am I going to deal with that reality? How am I going to do a old thing in a new way? That brings that positivity back to the surface, and that's what you got to focus on, and that's what I'm trying to really focus on a daily. So, all right, guys. Well, I got a lot more to go through. I got some braille maker stuff that's coming. I've got a pen that basically supposedly you can like scan a label or something and say that it's can of whatever beans, and so anytime you scan something it'll read it back to you, so that's kind of neat. Once that gets here, I'll go through that and we'll see if it's what they say it is, see if it's worth it. And just as we're going through the first holiday season with being blind, without full visual acuity, just try and keep smiling, keep positive, keep finding new ways to do old things, and it'll be all righty. I firmly believe that God doesn't put it on you if you can't find a way to deal, and there's a reason for it. And this is no different. So keep it on, keep it on. Y'all be good out there. Peace out, Girl Scouts.